he's your number one pick?
Yes. I mean, you see what his performance levels are, but I wouldn't want to discount the other ones too, I think.
Max Verstappen is wanted by the Mercedes Formula One team to replace Lewis Hamilton once he leaves in 2025. This would be a massive story if it were to happen, not only for F1, but it would also be a massive coup for the Mercedes F1 team, particularly when you take into consideration their current and ongoing struggles throughout the entire ground effect era, since it was introduced in 2022. But of course, there are many other factors outside of the fact that have issues that could play a huge role in Verstappen leaving the team and choosing to come to Mercedes for the long term. And we're going to be getting into what those particular factors are, as there is a huge number of factors at play in this extremely delicate situation. When news broke of Lewis Hamilton leaving Mercedes, everyone was wondering, well, who are they going to get to replace him? To begin with, there's a lot of talk about the Antonelli 18-year-old who is racing for Prima Racing in Formula 2, but that seems a step too far. And even though he's going to be testing the W13 at some point this week, I just don't see that being a particular outcome that would happen. The more logical one, which everyone came to the conclusion of, would be that of Fernando Alonso, a sort of stopgap. But rumours of that have now quieted down. And this is where the Verstappen to Mercedes comes into play. This is the wish of Toto Wolff after having an interview conducted by Fox Sports Australia over the following weekend, in which he stated the extraordinary Verstappen has to have a relationship with the Mercedes team at some stage in the future.
And if you were able to snatch Max, it would sort of come full circle considering what you've been through together.
Exactly. So it's a kind of relationship that needs to happen at a certain stage, but we don't know when.
And the biggest factor that's playing in this whole scenario is that of the behind the scenes goings on that have happened with Red Bull over the course of the last couple of months. And we all know what we're talking about here. The affair Christian Horner's been having and all the other kind of factors that has brought into play. And one of those is the so-called Marco clause in Verstappen's contract. If Helmut Marko was to leave the Red Bull team, this would enable Verstappen to exit his current contract far before the end of its term would have been. And so, with Toto Wolff knowing this, of course, he is on the kind of charm offensive at any given moment that he can be in singing the praises of Verstappen. And why would you not? Number one, he is arguably, on current form, the best in F1, and certainly in the last decade or so, you would have to have him in your top three alongside Hamilton and Alonso. And he would just be the natural choice for Mercedes to go after to replace Lewis Hamilton. And there is also another huge factor at play here, and it's to do with the major power unit regulation changes that will occur in the next couple of seasons. And this comes amid rumours that the Red Bull engine program is very much far behind that of Mercedes and Ferrari. And of course, with Verstappen being in the team and seeing everything behind the scenes and how it's playing out, he knows fully well what's going on with their powertrain. And that could be a second, but even more decisive factor in his decision to either stay or leave the team. Now, when we come back to Mercedes and their current situation of finding a replacement for Hamilton, Toto Wolff was asked when he would decide over the vacancy alongside that of George Russell, to which Wolff responded, "We have a slot free, the only one in the top teams. Unless Max decides he goes, then the slot is not going to be free with us anymore." So essentially, Toto Wolff there is incrementing. If Max wants the seat at Mercedes, it's his, and Toto will leave it available for him for as long as he possibly can, because of course there are many other things going on behind the scenes at all the teams. As we all know, there's Carlos Sainz, the winner of the last Grand Prix in Melbourne in Australia. He is free and available for the team, and he would be a very attractive prospect for the Mercedes team. He's a lot younger, he has vast experience, and he's come out quite well when it comes to Charles Leclerc and their time in Ferrari together. So much so, I would say he's started to get even more on terms with Leclerc's pace in the last year and a half that they've been teammates. For me personally, there was quite a bit of a gap at the beginning of their relationship, but I feel like he's progressed even further throughout his time at Ferrari. And I think while Leclerc may have had his problems throughout the Australian weekend, from practice one, Sainz was on it. And it was fantastic as well as amazing to see, considering the fact he just had his appendix taken out through surgery. And when further pressed, Wolff said Mercedes would not make a decision towards the summer, but noted that the outcome depends on what Max does. Now, don't forget, Mercedes did have the opportunity to sign Verstappen when he was racing in European Formula 3 in 2014, but couldn't offer the world champion a top flight seat at the time when there was a plausible path for the Dutch driver with the Red Bull team. And as we know what happened there, he went and joined Toro Rosso and then made his way into the Red Bull seat for 2016 and won on his debut with them. So for me, it's a case of this is going to happen at some point. When that is, only the universe knows. So it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. And of course, there are a number of candidates still in the running for this Mercedes seat. But for certain, Max Verstappen is the most attractive of the bunch, followed closely by Fernando Alonso, then Carlos Sainz, and finally Kimi Antonelli. Let me know what you think. Do you think Mercedes should go after Max Verstappen, or should they go for another driver that I've mentioned in this video? Let me know in the comments down below. Right guys, thank you all for watching. Hope you've all enjoyed the video. If you have, leave a comment down below. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you all in another F1 video.